Okay, hello everybody. Again, I'm really sorry that it didn't work out with the audio quality in Big Blue Button. It's a problem that I will solve in the future, but for this session, we kind of have to use another medium. So yeah, I'm using Zoom to record the lecture, and there we are. So yeah, let's get into it. And Nicole already talked about different file formats of geospatial data. And we already dealt with some of these, which namely are KML and KMZ files, as well as, to a degree, we dealt with shapefiles, like importing them. And we also used web map services to pull in some base maps into our map canvas. What we are going to do today is have a look at another file format, which is called the comma separated value file. And like it's short, it's CSV. And yeah, you can use it to import information that you stored, for example, in Excel into QGIS. And now I will show you how to do it. So here you can see information about a forest stand. There's information about ID, the tree species, the coordinates, diameter, height, and age, and some other parameters. Yeah, that are useful for analysis. So you can see we have coordinates here, and we want to visualize this chunk of data spatially in QGIS. So now this is just a normal Excel sheet. So if you look into your files, it will be the name tree data 48.xlx, xlsx, I think. But we need it in a CSV file format. So we will do it by, like, we will convert it by going to File, Save As, and then we change the file type here. Just go down, and you can choose this one here. And then you just click Save, and it will be saved. And it will show up in your directory. You can also always look for it here in file type. You can see here we have the Microsoft Excel worksheet, and here we have the comma separated values file. I can show you how it actually looks. You can look into the data by opening it with, for example, a notepad. And you can see it's quite chunked together. But yeah, this is what we need when we want to import it. Note here that it says, like how the name says, it's a comma separated value file. So all the different columns and rows are always separated by a comma, which you can see here and here and here, for example. Sometimes you will also see that you have a semicolon here, or just a space or something like that. For the beginning, we want to separate our different data by a comma. There's a way to change that. Like if you, for example, if you can find that you just have semicolons here, you can go into the text editor and go into edit, replace, and then you can try to, yeah, now it would be just a comma, like look for what you want to replace, and replace it with a semicolon, for example. And now your file really changed. Now you have semicolons everywhere. And yeah, this is a way how to change it. In this case, we want commas. So now I will change it back. Again, I go into replace and I just do the opposite. I want to find the semicolon and replace it with a comma. So just go and replace all. And yeah, that should be fine. Now I can close it. Yeah, I can save it. I don't save it again. Maybe I won't save it because it was in the right format before, so I won't save it now. And I have it here. Now, if you have that, go into QGIS and go into layer, add layer. And here you can find add delimited text layer. So we go on it. And first of all, we should look for the directory. Now it's already chosen here. So I would just select it, open it. And now there's some settings we can look at. So let's just go through them together. So the first one is the file format. Here you have different options. In the beginning, I would just try to stick to the CSV formats. You can also customize them. And here you can also specify which ones you want to have. You can use the semicolon or a colon or a space or something else. But just for the beginning, to not confuse you, you should use the comma separated value. Now, the next thing, okay, you don't really need that. This is important, the geometry definition. Here, you want to specify which columns out of the data set that we just looked at should be read by QGIS as a geometry file. And we want point coordinates. So in the X field, we should select the column that is congruent with the X coordinates that we want to have, and the same goes for the Y coordinates. You can see you can do something, like you can select something else, but then it won't work. So let's go for the X coordinates. We are on a 2D plane, so we don't need a Z field. And yeah, the next important thing is to select the right coordinate reference system. And you will also get to know more about that in the future. Just for the beginning, just try to select the same one that is depicted here. Then you won't have any troubles. Okay, so we are finished with our settings, and now we can just press add. Now there should be, our data should be depicted. Let's go to the layers, and you can see somewhere in the forest, there's data about trees, and they're depicted visually. Okay, now, so that this file is saved, we should export it as a shapefile. Because now if you close QGIS, you won't have it stored as a file that you can just open in QGIS. You just have to, like, otherwise you always have to go through the process that we just did, but it's more convenient to have a shapefile. So you go here, export, save feature as, and we want to have a shapefile. We should specify our directory. I will call it tree data. I'll just call it the same. because it's the same. Okay, it's the right coordinate reference system, and that should be it. Okay, layer exported, successfully saved vector layer. Okay, and now we can actually get rid of that because now we have a shapefile, and this is just confusing having two of the same. You can check if it's really the same. You can see by the colors changing that they are congruent. So I will just delete this one here. Okay. Okay, now we imported the features into QGIS. And now we want to look at a different function in QGIS. Because you saw there was a lot of information in the Excel sheet, but here you can just see points, and it's not really valuable information. So the next thing I want to show you is how to categorize them, because it's all about visualization, and we want to get some more information out of this piece of data. So I go right click on the layer, I go to properties, and here within the symbology tab, you can see you have more options, like this bar at the very top. You can click it and you will have different options. You can, for example, select no symbols, but this is not what we want. This is the normal single symbol feature, but what we want is to categorize them. So you go here into categorized. And what does it mean? I will show you in a second. First of all, we have to show, like we have to tell this mask what we want to classify. Should it be the height? Should it be the diameter? Should it be the age or the tree species? So we can go into value and we go into tree species. And here in this window, we press classify. Okay, so now our data has been classified, and we can click apply. And you can see that the symbology changed according to the different tree species. Sometimes here's the option of other values. We don't have other values, so I will just delete it. You also have the option to change the color. If you want to do that, you can do it. Sometimes it's not really clear or that they're quite the same. But for now, I would just keep it like that. So I will click OK. And here in your layer, you can see that the different tree species have different colors. And this gives you the advantage that now if you just want to look for beech, for example, you can deselect all the other tree species and you will just have your beech trees visible. Sorry. You can add, for example, oaks or pine if you want. There's a lot of different options that you have. Okay, so now that we are focusing on beech, we want to add some more information to our selection. So what we do, we go back into properties and we want to have some labels. We want to know, for example, which ID number the different trees have. So I will go into single labels again here in the menu bar here. And again, we should select the value that we want to label or visualize in the map canvas. Again, we have a lot of different options. We want to know, for example, now which ID we can see, like which tree has which ID. And if you just go on apply, you can see there's a lot of numbers which correspond to the points that we just created. They're not that well visible. You can again change the symbology here. For example, could make it white. Okay, might be more visible. We can add a buffer. Okay, that was too much. Maybe decrease the size of the buffer. Yeah, maybe like that. And now it still looks quite cluttered, but if you zoom in further, you will see that, yeah, that you can really dissect which tree has which ID. Okay, this is the main part of what we should learn today. But there's another thing that I also want to show you, which is the information feature, which is really helpful. So if you just want to have a quick overview about a point that you just, or a tree that you just put into the map canvas, you can just click on the point with the information feature. And here you can see all the different values. So, okay, we can make it a little bit bigger. And we can, for example, see that this tree, number 58, has the age of 57, a diameter of 30, and a height of 28.8 meters. And so you can just go through and look through your features of interest. Okay, we also talked about creating points, lines, and polygon features in Google Earth. In QGIS, this is also possible, and it's also a really valuable tool. So I will show you now how to do that. Okay, so we go on to layer here in the menu toolbar, go on to create layer, and we go on to new shapefile layer. Okay, another mask opens, and the first thing that you do is set the directory. I will put it here. I will maybe call it plot border. And you can neglect this option here, but this one is important. Which type of geometry feature do you want to add? Do you want to add points, lines, or polygons? So in this case, I want to draw a plot around our trees, and you should also select the same coordinate reference system. Again, there will probably be much more, there will be much more information about the coordinate reference system in the future. For now, just select the same one as you can see here on the lower right corner. Yeah, you could add now the layer, but I would also advise you to always add some more information, like as much information as you have about the feature that you want to implement into QGIS, you should assign to your layer that you're creating. So in this case, we can, for example, make a field for the area. Maybe we want to know how big our plot is, and we should select the right type of data. Here it can be a decimal number. It can have a length of 20 digits. So yeah, it can also have a length of 5 digits. And the precision is just how many digits are after the comma or after the points. How many decimal digits do you have? In this case, I think 2 will be enough. And here you have another field within your shapefile. So we click on OK. And here is our new layer. You can see nothing really happens. So what we have to do is select the layer, toggle on the editing mode, and go into this icon here, add polygon feature. And now you can draw a polygon. It's really similar to Google Earth around your trees. And with a right click, you confirm the selection. Okay, now we can put ID 1. We don't know the area yet. Maybe we know it in advance. We could add some more information here. So I will just go on OK. And here we have our plots. We have to detoggle the editing modes in order to save what we just did. Okay, I would save it. And yeah, this looks a little bit weird. Again, we have to order our layers. So I will put the trees over the polygon feature. And also, maybe we don't want the whole fill of this polygon. So we will go into the plot border, go into properties, and change the symbology. Really important here, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see anything related to your trees. Like you won't see the base map, for example. So this you can do here, as we learned in the last session. You go into symbology. Single symbol should be selected. So again, you could also do something else, but in this case, we need single symbol. You go on this icon here, and here you can change the symbology. It says simple fill. We don't want a fill, we just want an outline. And how should the outline look? Yeah, I think a simple line will do it. Maybe let's add a different color. Let's make it red so it's visible. Again, you can spend a lot of time figuring out the right symbology, and you can make it look really nice. But for now, I just want to show you the main features. And now you can click OK, and here you go. Now you have now you have all your trees. You have them labeled. You drew a plot around them, and this is already quite nice. This, like what we just added here, is just a polygon feature. Of course, you can also add some other features. For example, let's say this was your forest survey, but maybe you want to extend it. Maybe, or you're taking some soil samples, maybe somewhere, for example, like it's in this area. So what you can do, again, we have to create a layer, a new shapefile layer. You always have to specify where it should go. Let's call it soil sample plots. Again, this is just an example. Like usually you will also use real coordinates. Here, the purpose is just to show you that you can add different types of geometry features. In this case, we want to add points. So again, we are changing the coordinate reference system. Now we don't want to add new fields, and we just click OK. Now we toggle on the editing mode again and add point feature, and we can add a point here, for example. It's called 1, 2, and 3, for example. Again, you have to detoggle the the editing mode to save it. Okay. Okay, two more things we can look at today is using, like, changing the geometry of these ones here or adding more geometry features. So let's just get rid of the trees. And now let's focus here on the soil plots. Now you can see, like, if we go into our attribute table, there's not much going on. Like, we don't have any information basically. And a very useful thing is to add coordinates to your points, so that you have some more information first of all, or that you can export them as a KML file, use it on your phone, go into the field and actually find the plots that you drew here in the map canvas. So we have to select the layer. In order to do that, we have to select the layer, go into vector, and we have to go into geometry tools and go for add geometry attributes. Here we can select the input layer. In this case, it will be the soil sample plots. And yeah, the rest is not so important for now. And you just click on run. Okay, close. Now it just created another temporary layer, which is indicated by this symbol here. So it's not saved. Like, when you will close QGIS, this layer will disappear and you won't have it. And it has a weird name also, but it's basically the same as this one. But if you go into the attribute table now, you can see that there is some more information about the coordinates. Okay, so let's close it and save this one here as a shapefile. Let's go back into our directory. Let's call it again soil sample plots. We can give it a different name. Okay, it's the right coordinate reference system, and we click on OK. You can see here it was successful. Now we can delete these two layers because we don't really need them anymore. Everything is the same here, but this is the final product that we will use in the future. Okay, so let's delete them. Yeah. Okay, another thing that I also want to show you is if you, for example, want to create a plot around a certain point to make some, to take some samples, for example, you can do that in QGIS as well. You do that by going into the menu toolbar, selecting vector. You go into geoprocessing tools, and here you can already see buffer is the mass that we want. We obviously have to select the layer that we want a buffer for. And yeah, let's say we want 10 meters. Here you can yeah, you can say whether it should be a circle, which type of circle, it should be a square. Yeah, you have a lot of options here. Let's just leave the defaults here. Maybe just one thing to note, when you put in the distance, here you also have the different measuring units. Meters is what we want here. So we go and run, and you can see there is some circular plots added to QGIS with a diameter, with a radius of 10 meter. Again, like every time you do some geoprocessing operations, it's not saved. Like you should be aware about that. And here, always look. It also says if you go onto this icon, temporary scratch layer only, contents will be discarded after closing the project. So again, we should export it and save it as so we have the same soil sample plus let's call it soil sample buffer. It's the right coordinate reference system, and there we go. It was exported. Now we don't need the old one anymore because we have this guy here. And yeah, now we have points with plots, and the points also have coordinates, which you can see here. And if you want to use them, you know how to do that. You can go into them, export, save features as, and then you can save, like export them in various different file formats. For example, KML files. You can also just export the spreadsheet if you just want to have the coordinates. Again, you have a lot of different options here. Okay, so let's not do that. Yeah, and this is basically what I wanted to talk with you about today. Again, sorry that I had to pick this kind of format. And I hope that we can see each other in Big Blue Button next week. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for your patience if you made it through the whole video. And yeah, I uploaded some exercises in Moodle. I would strongly advise you to do them because it's all about practice, and you should go through the processes yourself. And again, I know it's a lot of information. Whenever you have any problems, write me an email and I can give you some more specified information how to solve problems or clarify some things that I couldn't convey in the lecture here. So yeah, then have a good day and goodbye.